Morning, guys. I usually start all these videos, after I've just gotten back from the gym, and today is no different. But the reason for that is because when I wake up before the gym, like keep in mind, I feel amazing now. When I wake up before the gym, I honestly don't feel good. I don't feel good about myself. I honestly don't even feel confident enough to talk on camera sometimes. Besides on like my Instagram stories, and it's very frustrating because I want to wake up and make a YouTube video for you guys, but it's honestly really hard to wake up immediately and just like have the confidence to post. And I didn't really understand why, right? Because this morning I woke up at 4:20 like I do every single day. I read my Bible, I was sitting there in my bed, just, reading, journaling, getting my thoughts together for the day. And when I finished that, I kind of thought to myself that, damn, I really, really, really just want to stay here. I don't want to go to the gym right now. I have legs today. I mean, nobody wants to fucking hit legs at 4 in the morning. It sucks, right? No one wants to do that. But, I went and did it, and there's like this voice in my head that tells me to go ahead and do it. And whenever I was getting ready for the gym, I went to brush my teeth downstairs, just in the bathroom, and we have like a full, like, circular mirror where you can see your entire body in the mirror. And I was looking at myself, and I was like, I didn't have my contacts in, so I can hardly see. That's why I've got glasses on. But I was like, damn, I'm not really happy with my physique right now. I feel kind of weird about my physique. I feel like I don't look that good. And keep in mind, I hadn't done anything this day. I had just woken up, did my routine, and getting ready for the gym. And, I get to the gym kind of feeling like shit about myself. Feeling like, not super confident. Not really feeling like gratified. Not really feeling like, confident in my own body, which is weird to say because I'm a fitness coach. But, I get to the gym, I hit my workout, and I look in the mirror after. And, I hit legs, so there was no, like, pump to my upper body. The way that I looked didn't change, but the way that I felt about myself was completely different. I had all this, like, unsung confidence, and, I didn't understand why I had that confidence at first because, like I said, I didn't have a pump. I didn't look any different. So where did this confidence come from? Why did I have confidence, just from getting back from the gym? It didn't make any sense. But then I started to process and realize that, I feel like this every single day. I feel like this every day when I'm making YouTube videos. That's why I post them after the gym. I feel like this, when I'm recording reels for Instagram or when I'm checking in with clients. I feel like the most confident in myself after that workout. And then for the rest of my day, that confidence carries on and I feel really good about myself. And, I'm very proud of the person I am throughout the rest of my day. And the reasoning behind that now that I realize is extremely simple, right? It's because I put myself through something hard in the morning. Before I had done anything hard, I'm like, oh, I feel like shit about my physique. I don't feel proud of myself. I'm not where I want to be financially. I'm not where I want to be, blah, 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 blah. And then I get to the gym. And just from putting myself through something hard, I find that gratification and I find that confidence in myself. I never had that confidence growing up, right? When I was growing up, I was always the kid with the swim shirt on at the pool. I was always the kid who didn't feel good about his physique and didn't feel good about who he was as a person. And I didn't understand why I felt that way. I thought that it was just like, oh, like my physique sucks, so be it. That's probably why I feel like shit. But I started to gain that confidence before I even had the physique. Obviously I'm a natural bodybuilder now who's competed twice. And obviously I work with other people now. But at the same time, I had that confidence before all this. I had that confidence the second I started waking up early. And the second I started pushing myself in the gym. Even though my physique wasn't changing, I still had that confidence. So why did I have that confidence when, my body still didn't look good and, I was still not where I wanted to be physically? Well, it's quite simple. It's because I was pushing myself beyond the capabilities and I was acting as the man who already had all of those materialistic things. You're probably watching this video saying, hey, like, I'm not confident because I don't like the way I look. I'm not confident because, I have too much fat on my body. I'm not confident because, other people look better than me and I compare myself to those other people. And, while that is very normal, what I want you to understand is you will not feel that way when you start acting like the person who already has that thing. Now, I want you to take me, for example, here, right? I don't really talk about finances on here, right? I make a decent amount of money for somebody my age. It's not my number one concern, but obviously, I want to be doing better financially. I want to make more money financially. I don't sit there and compare myself to these other guys online who are making, 30, 40K a month when I'm not doing that. Because, they're on a different path than me. They've had different setbacks. They've had different failures than I've had, and they've had a different upbringing than I've had. So those people have achieved the outcome I want to achieve. So why would I not be jealous of them, right? Well, it's because they're not the same person as me, right? I view my life and I act every single day as the version of Brandon who makes $40,000 a month. And that sounds crazy, but if I show up every single day like that person, you'll see that I will get to that end result. It's the same thing with your physique, right? The reason you don't have confidence in your body is because you show up like the dude who has your physique right now. You act as the person who already has that body. You act as the person who doesn't have that confidence. But if you show up as that dream version of yourself who's, let's say, 200 pounds lean if that's your goal, or who doesn't have that belly fat, or who can take their shirt off and be proud of what they see in the mirror. If you show up as that person every single day thinking, okay, what would this guy do? What would he do? What would he do? What would he do? Okay, he'd probably go to the gym early. He'd probably, track all of his macros and eat on this structured diet. Okay, he'd probably do 30 minutes of cardio post-workout to help burn calories. Okay, that's what he would do, so I'm going to start doing that. You become confident. And the physique comes as a byproduct. Now I need you to realize this. You can have the confidence before you have the materialistic things, right? I live and operate and feel as if I'm making $40,000 a month. I don't make $40,000 a month, but why do I feel that way? It's because, the version of me who makes $40,000 a month would be doing the exact same things as me. Sure, he might have a little more work on his plate, but regardless, I put in the same inputs that desired version of me would put in. When I started, trying to develop myself physically and mentally and trying to, build this discipline, become this best version of myself, I realized, okay, what do I need to do? What would Brandon, who, is a natural bodybuilder, do? That was the goal I set out for myself. I said, okay, what would he do? Well, he definitely wouldn't go out every weekend, so I stopped going out every weekend. Well, he definitely wouldn't smoke weed every day, so I stopped smoking weed every day, and it was hard, but I stopped it, I realized that, hey, Brandon, who has this six-pack, he wouldn't eat fucking Raising Cane's 4 nights a week. Yeah, exactly. But he wouldn't do that, so I stopped doing that. I stopped eating out all the time, and I started eating my structured diet. Said, okay, Brandon, who has a six-pack, you know what he would do? He'd probably walk on the treadmill for 30 minutes after his lifts to burn more calories. So what did I do? I started acting like that. And the second I started acting like that, I found this unsung confidence. And, my body hadn't changed that much, but I carried myself to such a high level of respect that all of the confidence came from within me. I felt so confident about myself solely because I was living a life that I could be proud of. I didn't have the physique yet, but I knew that, hey, if I act like Brandon, who already has that, dream body of mine that I have now, I realized that if I showed up like him every single day, I'd get that. And I do the same thing now with my physique as well. I want to be a natural pro bodybuilder. And there's kids younger than me. I'm 20 to keep in mind. There's people younger than me who have already achieved that goal. But do I compare myself to them? No. Does that lower my confidence? No. I know that I've gone through a different journey and different struggles than them. So therefore, all I'm doing is acting as the version of Brandon who's already a natural pro bodybuilder. So what would that guy do, right? Okay, I know he'd follow his plan to a T. I know he'd check in every single week and make sure his progress is good. I know he would never skip a cardio session, never skip a workout session. He'd wake up early. He would do this. And that's what I do every single day. And so I live with the confidence that I already have that goal, because when you show up as that desired version of yourself every single day, every solitary day, no matter how you feel, no matter, what's going on in your life, you'll have all the confidence in the world solely because you know the outcome is inevitable. The reason you don't have confidence now is because you have desires, you want to be here, you want to be like having this dream body, whatever, but you are not acting as if you already have it. You're not just going to achieve something just from brute work, right? Because you don't really know what work is required. But if you sit down and plan out, hey, what is this dream version of myself doing? Then you'll start to feel confident already. I didn't even have a six-pack when I started to feel confidence. I started talking to girls. I got my first girlfriend after never being able to speak to a girl in my life, solely because I woke up and, acted as if the person who already had that body. Same thing now, I carry myself as a natural pro bodybuilder, even though I'm not one now. I'm not a natural pro bodybuilder yet. You guys will watch me achieve that the next time I step on stage. You can mark my words. I don't care. I have that much confidence that I can say this in front of random people online just because, I'm acting as that person every single day. The same thing with, finances, right? I say I want to be making $40K a month. It's not even that I want to. It's that I show up as that man every single day. So eventually I will achieve that goal, and I have the confidence that I'm already doing that. I did this, when I was thousands of dollars in debt. I did this whenever, I didn't have a body that I could be proud of. All of these things I did solely focusing on what would I do in that dream state. And so the reason you do not have confidence is because you are not living a routine that you can be proud of. You think that confidence comes from being this like unsung version of yourself. You think that confidence comes from, looking incredible. You think it comes from people coming up to you and saying, damn, like you look so good, man. But you have it all backwards. It doesn't work like that. You're not going to achieve confidence just from somebody else's gratification. You're not going to achieve it just from looking a certain way or having a certain amount of money. None of that shit fucking matters. What matters is showing up as the man deserving of it. Because when you show up as that man, even when you don't have it, you still feel that level of confidence. You still feel that level of fulfillment because you are that man. You are that man. You show up as that man, and therefore, you might not be it on the outside yet, but you already show up internally as that man, so you will feel as if that man feels. You will feel the confidence that that version of you feels. You will feel the confidence that, the person with the six-pack feels because you show up just like that version of you every single day. Confidence is internal. It's not about what you look like on the outside, but you'll never achieve it until you know that your goal is inevitable. So, again, you have these goals in your head. What I need you to grasp and understand is that, the goals aren't going to make you happy. I wasn't magically happy because I became a bodybuilder. I wasn't happy because I started making money. I wasn't happy because of any of these things. I was happy because I showed up as the man who was deserving of it. I was happy because I showed up as a version of myself I could be proud of even on my darkest days. And that's where the real confidence comes in. And as a result of that, once you build that confidence, you'll start to actually shape into the desired outcome, right? I want you to look at this as an example, guys. I'm going to pick you up real quick. This is my client, Matt, okay? When we started, he was around 20 pounds heavier, and then sure enough, he showed up as that version of himself every single day. Why is this not fucking working, guys? Unfucking believable. Just try to show something for a video. And as you can see, we're down 20 pounds in 3 months, but it's because he showed up as the man who already had it. And it's because, he had this whole system in place where he could utilize it every single day to make that progression. So what I want you to understand is that the reason my client results are so good and the reason that, everyone that comes to me succeeds and gets that body is because we focus on them taking the actions of the person who already has that body. And, when you have that system in place that guarantees that you're taking the actions of that person, it's impossible to fail. And that's why I have a 100% success rating for all of my clients who check their boxes. I haven't had a client fail and not hit their goals solely because of that. So what I want to leave you guys with is knowing and remembering that the reason you do not have confidence is solely because of your lifestyle. It's not because of the way you look. It's not because of your finances. It's not because of your body. It's because of the way you live your life. So if you start living your life every single solitary day like you already have it, like it's already yours, like it's destined to you, like you are that version of that person that you want to be, I promise you, it might not happen overnight. It might not happen in a week, but it's gonna fucking happen. I love you boys. If you want to apply to work with me, there's going to be a link down in the description. You guys can go ahead and click that. And if you have questions, obviously, I'd honestly prefer you to just reach out to my Instagram first. That's going to be linked in the bio as well. So shoot me a text on there. We'll chat it up and figure out like what exactly I can do for you. But genuinely appreciate you boys watching. I hope this one was super helpful for you, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.